Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your leadership on a number of areas that relate to higher education. It's certainly not only this hearing, but it's been recognized time and time again, your commitment to students, and as you so accurately put it, our constituents. So I thank you for your leadership. Instead of doing a closing statement, I'm going to hopefully ask for a few things to clarify and wrap up some of this without going to a second line of questioning. But one of the big areas that we did not address that Ms. Ty was a part of yesterday was the whole cyber aspect, because we had Dr. Harris here yesterday, and one of the questions that came up during that particular hearing made the potential liability from a cyber standpoint just frightening, Mr. Runcie. And when we asked Dr. Harris about some of the dashboard things that is on the ISA-Conley bill, or as Mr. Conley would put it, the Conley-ISA bill, it's as we look at that particular issue, Dr. Harris couldn't answer one thing, and he said that he didn't know that we would have to ask FSA. And so you're here today, so I'm going to ask you very quickly, can you explain to these committees why there is no PIV cards to protect, from an encryption standpoint, to protect the some 139 million Social Security, unique Social Security numbers that are there? Why the very basic of encryption is not employed? Because as your chief information officer, he couldn't answer it. So can you answer that?
Yeah, Dr. Harris is the department CIO. We have our own separate CIO who has 30 years.
But he said this was your call because he couldn't even look. That's the
No,
reason
that's
why
fine.
I'm asking you is because he said he couldn't look behind the curtain, that you were the only one that could look behind the curtain. So I'm asking you.
So we've had two-factor authentication for some time, right? It was level 3.
Yeah, but you went backwards. I was here yesterday. I don't want to get into all that. I guess let me ask you this question more specifically. When can we count on PIV cards being there, the basic encryption to protect all these students' Social Security numbers? When can we count on that from your agency?
By second quarter.
Okay, by second quarter of next year? I mean, let's make sure that we're talking about. Second quarter 10 years from now is a tough time.
Our target is the end of December, but there may be some constraints that move us into the next quarter. So that's why I meant that quarter.
All right.
January through March.
So in 2 quarters, you'll have it done. All right. So let me go to one other thing that a lot of people are excited about, this whole repay thing that here in just a few weeks, I guess, is going to be there. Do all the service providers, do they have what they needed to make the best decisions and all of that and to implement that, the contractors?
Yes.
And so you've been working on that, as I understand, for a while. Is that correct?
Yeah, repay, the delivery of repay, yeah.
And so dating back as far as, I guess, from my records, it showed that you had a proposed rule draft change, contract change that went out in May of 2015. Is that correct?
That sounds right.
And then a final contract change that went out in July of this year?
I believe that's right.
All right. And so I'm a little confused, and so help me with this, and I don't understand the process. But since the Secretary just put out the final rule on October the 30th, how did you send out those contract changes before a final rule was complete? I mean, was it just that we assumed that it was going to not change?
I know that we provided guidance because of the window that we were talking about. It's obviously a tight time frame, so if we waited till the last minute to give any sort of guidance or instruction.
Well, but these aren't guidance. These are contract changes, which is a lot different than guidance. And so are you assuming that the rule that just became final was going to be the final rule? Because on October 30th, the final rule, it wasn't exactly like the proposed rule. It actually changed.
I'll have to get back to you with the
because
timeline.
It sounds like we've got things backwards.
Yeah. I can confirm the timeline and get that back.
I yield back. I thank the chairwoman for her patience.